Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. GPS Global Paradigm Shift on this brand new week. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. And as always, it is an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in to GPS on Glory 93.9 FM and also on TuneIn and streaming live on the official Michelle Malcolm Facebook page. So make sure you like and share the show. Make sure you call a friend and tell them to tune in to Glory 93.9 FM because GPS is on the air. And you know, today is Mindset Monday, and we're going to be doing a mindset show. And my producer is working on trying to get it up on my laptop. So if you hear a little feedback, that's because she hasn't figured out how to turn it down on my laptop yet. But the reason I'm doing Mindset Monday shows, you want me to help you with that? Okay. So the reason I'm doing Mindset Monday shows is because research shows that most heart attacks happen on a Monday morning. Why is that? Why do most heart attacks happen on a Monday morning? I'll tell you why. Because Monday morning, people have to get up and they have to go to jobs that they hate, working with people they don't like, or they have to, you know, just face the reality that they're not happy with their lives and not doing what is making them feel fulfilled. And a lot of it has to do with perspective, because bad things happen to good and bad people. Good things happen to good and bad people. COVID-19, for instance, is happening to everyone, everywhere, all at once. But your perspective of COVID-19 and the fallout from it has a lot to do with how you are able to handle it. And so I thought it was very important that on Mondays, we do what I'm calling Mindset Monday shows to encourage people to adjust their perspective. I'm getting a note from my guest. She's saying that she can't hear me, guys. So let's see if we can figure out why that's happening. I will send her a note to please use her headphones to see if that makes a difference, because we're going to bring her on momentarily. And I want to make sure that she can hear us before we bring her into the studio. Okay, so this is why I'm doing Mindset Monday shows. I want to encourage you to look at things from another perspective, to see things differently, because your perspective is what, in large part, is going to direct how you respond to a particular thing. And if your perspective is not right, if your perspective is not healthy, then your response is going to be unhealthy. And the results that you get from those responses will likely be unhealthy. So today on the show, we are talking about from survive to thrive. That's what I'm calling the show today. From survive to thrive. Mastering your breaking point. Now, a lot of people have faced some really difficult times, well, even before COVID, but especially since the pandemic broke. People around the world, millions of people are out of work, lost their job, lost their main source of income. A lot of people have lost hope. Suicide rates have increased. People just can't take it anymore. They're at their breaking point. And unfortunately, some of them make a decision, a permanent decision, based on a temporary problem. And we're going to talk about that today. How you should not make a permanent decision based on a temporary problem. How you can go from survive, where you're just barely holding on, to thrive, even in this type of environment that we find ourselves in. And so I am going to be talking today to a well-known Bahamian who makes a living from teaching people how to make that paradigm shift, whether it be in their business life or just otherwise in their life in general. She is going to sign back in so that she can see if she can hear us once she signs back in. But in the meantime, I will go ahead and I will read her intro while we wait for her to come back into the studio. So her name is Keshelle Davis. Many of you know her. She's a business growth mentor and CEO at the Training Authority, an award-winning, internationally recognized business education and consulting organization in the Bahamas. She is the former executive director of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, Chamber Institute. In 2017, she won the prestigious Icon Award in Commerce. Let me just make sure my audio is turned down on my laptop. For her almost decades of work in the training and development industry. She was also named the Bahamas' top 40 under 40 by Professional Services Bahamas and one of the bridges to the future by the Nassau Guardian's 40th Independence celebrations. And Keshelle has helped thousands of people to fulfill their vision, obtain mastery, and create wealth in their lives. And her work has been featured in the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, including Global Woman magazine. She has worked with notables such as Sharon Lechter of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich for Women, and speaker at Les Brown event. And she is an author of 2 books and creator of popular programs, including the Dream Board Party Experience, the Planner's Retreat, Make It Real Method, and more. Her mission is to spread knowledge so that together we can progress our world. So she's back. I see her smiling, so I think she can hear us. Keshelle Davis, welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift. It is truly an honor to have you on my set. You're looking good, girl. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. You look good as well.
Is she muted? Okay, I can't hear her now. So what's going on?
Can you hear me? No.
Just give us a second. We're going to work out to figure out why I can't hear you, Keshelle. Because it's you can only have a conversation if both people can hear. So we're going to figure out what's happening with that, guys. Help me out here because I can't hear her.
Testing.
So in the meantime, I don't know if my audience can hear you. Facebook, let us know if you can hear her. And if not, then we'll figure out what's happening. One of my producers just walked into the room, so we're going to figure this out. Actually, it might be my struggly laptop. You think it's my struggly laptop? No? Okay, they said it's not my struggly laptop. So, but they brought in
I
one of
don't
their
know.
own devices in here for me
Let me
to
see.
actually use. And I actually look better on her laptop than I do on mine. So my audience is saying that they can hear her loud and
Okay.
clear. Okay. So it's just me. It's just me. Okay, we're gonna figure it out. In the meantime, Keshelle,
Okay.
uh, let's seeing that the audience can hear you. I won't be able to hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to ask you a general question.
Okay.
You know, as I would have said in the beginning of the show, most people who have heart attacks have them on a Monday morning because people are generally very unhappy with their lives. On Monday morning, you know, you have to face that reality every Monday morning that you're unhappy with your job, unhappy with your boss, unhappy with your life. And some people end up having a heart attack on a Monday morning because of that. So generally speaking, I want you to tell us about why it is so important that you identify what makes you happy and figure out how to make that work for you in the reality that you face. How important
Yeah.
is it to identify your true north and be able to figure out what you can do with that true north to not just survive but thrive in life?
I love this question, Michelle. And when you spoke to it, it immediately, the quote by Dr. Miles Monroe immediately came to mind. And I'm going to start with that quote because I think it sums up so much. And he says, the poorest person in the world is a person without a dream. And you know, that goes into another direction. But he also goes to say, that the most frustrated person in the world is a person with a dream that doesn't become reality. And so when I think of your comment about why is it so important, it is because if you want to live a fulfilling life, you can be frustrated every Monday morning or you can be fulfilled. And if you want to live fulfilled, happy, where you don't dread Mondays, and I wrote an article some years back that was called Stop Dreading Mondays. If you want to live, if you do not want to dread Mondays and want to look forward to Mondays, because me personally, I look forward to my Mondays. It really is important to find your purpose, find your dream, work towards the dream, make it real, as I like to say. Otherwise, you will live the life of frustration. And unfortunately, there are so many people who live that way.
Mm, this is true. Perspective is everything
Mhm.
because you and I could look at the same situation and you walk away saying opportunity and I walk away seeing a problem. So, how important
Mhm.
is it to make sure that your perspective is in the right place?
Michelle, perspective is, I don't like to say my favorite word because I have lots of favorite words, right? But if I could had to pay $1 for every time I use the word perspective, even every time I use that word perspective within the last week, I would have paid a lot of money because it really boils down to that. Perspective is your viewpoint, how you see the world, how you see the situation. And if you look at life, everything has a perspective. There's two sides of a coin. There's light and dark. There's hot and cold. There is perspective everywhere. There's wealthy and there's poor. There's abundance and there's scarcity. And so it's you making the choice. And of course, that choice comes intentionally, but also environment plays a role in how we see things.
Mhm.
But if you have the power, you have the choice to choose how you want to look at things, right? There's always another choice. And so if you are looking at something in a way, going back to the Mondays where you're dreading Mondays, for example, and you know it's difficult to go to work and you don't want to live that way, you're tired of living that way, you could just simply change your mind. You can change your perspective. You can say, hey, you know what? I may not like Mondays. I may not like going to work on Mondays, but what can I find about Mondays that's unique? Or you can change your situation altogether, which means, I can find something more fulfilling. But one, we always have a choice. Two, we have to decide how we want to look at things. And that's really what it boils down to.
Pastor Miles always used to talk about the danger of people making permanent decisions based on temporary problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's hard when you're going through. It doesn't feel temporary. It feels like it's come to stay.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at COVID-19, people have literally taken their lives out of just hopelessness and frustration in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, when in reality, this did not come to stay. It came to pass.
Yeah.
And so you have to really be very careful when you're talking about making a permanent decision based on a temporary problem, because no matter how bad the problem, it cannot last. What are your thoughts on that?
The Bible talks about there's a time for everything, right? This too shall pass. And so if you believe in the word of God, there's a time to be born, there's a time to die, there's a time to be happy, there's a time to be sad or mourn. And so if you look at the principle of life, Pastor Miles always say again, the only thing that's I think he would say the only thing is permanent is change, right? Change is consistent, change is constant. And so you have that knowledge, that comfort to say, whatever I'm experiencing now, this too shall pass. In fact, one of my ways that I deal often with whatever thought that comes, whenever I'm dealing with a frustrating situation or I'm upset, there's a song by India Arie that I love. She's one of my favorite artists, and that's called This Too Shall Pass. And I literally play that song. Either that or I go to the Word of God, which says, again, there's a time for everything. And so it's that reminder that whatever I'm going through, it's not permanent. And if you go to what a T.D. Jakes would say, and I love to say it this way as well, is whenever you're going through a situation, ask yourself, is this my fate or is this my state? Meaning, is this my fate? Meaning, is it permanent? Am I going to live with it for the rest of my life? Or is it my state? Meaning, this is a temporary day. This is a temporary situation. It's going to pass. And so finding ways to remind yourself of those truths will get you through it.
It's amazing that you would bring up T.D. Jakes, because I decided that I was going to cover this particular topic, and they're just adjusting the cameras. Let me go back to Keshelle while they're doing that. So I decided last week that I was going to cover this topic. And then as I was driving over the weekend, listening to Glory 93.9, I heard this sermon from T.D. Jakes talking about mastering the breakthrough. And I was like, oh my God, this is pretty much the same topic as what I'm going to be covering. And so I went on YouTube and I decided to start searching for that particular sermon. And wouldn't you know it, I found a couple of videos with clips from that sermon. And so clip number 1, it's called Mastering the Breakthrough. We're going to play clip number 1 now, because it was such a powerful sermon, and it fits in perfectly with exactly what we're talking about today. So let's go to clip number 1.
If you don't learn how to master the breaking point, you may have many ventures, but you will not accrue massive success in any area because you have not mastered the breaking point. Every time life runs you to a breaking point, you will give up and quit. You will back away and run. You will say, this is too hard, this is too emotional, this is too stressful, and you will back away. You cannot be a champion until you have survived a breaking point. If you don't learn how to touch people, you can never stop the issues that exist internally or externally in your church, in your life, in your family, in your business. So the one thing that the enemy is determined to do when you are at a breaking point, the first thing he wants to do is isolate you. The only thing wrong with your dream is that you're trying to do it by yourself. The difference between start and finish is determined by how you handle the breaking point.
In the process of going up, whenever wheat comes up, tear comes up to the same proportion. Or let me say it in a way that's familiar to you, new levels bring new devils. So while you're coming up, on one side, your haters, problems, situations, circumstances, responsibilities, debt factors, bills, organizational infrastructure needs all come up at the same level. That one fact, you can't come up over here and not come up over there. They both grow up together.
Just because your circumstance don't reflect it right now doesn't mean that you don't have it. Believe in yourself and get up out of there and go do what you've got to do.
The whole world has turned its head to hear what you have to say. Do you have something to say or not?
What you do over the next few months will determine the next few years in your life. How you manage the critical mass of this moment will determine the outcome, whether you acquiesce back to the gravitational pull of your ordinariness or whether you break through into another orbit and another dimension of who you are. I would suggest to you that everything you have gone through in your previous dimension has prepared you for this next dimension, and you're right on the verge if you can master the breaking point. That everything you have gone through in your previous dimension has prepared you.
Very, very powerful words indeed.
Yes.
And there's so much there to unpack. Isolation. Let's start there.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I have this course called Make It Real, and it's really based on achieving your goals and dreams and visions, and it's based and built from Dr. Miles's 12 Keys on Vision. And one of the principles, one of the keys is people, right? And you're right. There are people who don't realize that all of the success, all of the achievement, all of the getting through the breakthrough usually comes through a person, whether it's a motivator, whether it's a mentor, whether it's some community, whether it's a friend. And in fact, I just got this notification on my phone that says being lonely is bad for our health, right? And so and it goes into a whole other deep conversation. The point is, we tend to think that if we isolate or we pull away from people when we're going through difficult times, we will get through it maybe better, faster, easier, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is really the work of the enemy, to try to keep you isolated, to try to keep you thinking, I'm in this alone. Nobody's going to understand. And that isolation, when you feel all alone in something, then you become a prime target for attack. Mm-hmm. Because especially, some people are so when we're talking about being alone, we're not talking about being by yourself, because you could have people around you and still feel isolated.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, you have to be very careful not to be closed to hearing the voice of others. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people are going through these feelings of hopelessness and isolation. And when people try to reach out, they dismiss what they are saying to them, because they're thinking, oh, you don't understand where I'm coming from. You don't understand how I feel. So if you're so closed You won't be able to
Mm-hmm.
receive what is being offered to you. You have to be able to open yourself to receive that. So
Yeah.
isolation is a really powerful tool of the enemy, and you really
And
have to be careful. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and when I did, because I did for the production of this course, I did a lot of study on this particular topic, and there are 12 keys, and again, people is one of them. And when you look at the challenges that people go through, right, whether it's due to COVID or any other challenge, there are just a core set of universal issues that everyone at some point or someone at some point can relate to. So whether it's sickness, or whether it's loss of a job, whether it's loss of a loved one, whether your business failed. I mean, there's a list of areas that we go through as a human race, right? I may not be able to relate to maybe a loss of a loved one, but someone else can. I may not be able to relate to a loss of a job, but someone else can. I may be able to relate to a business failure when someone else cannot, right? And so when we go back to that isolation, it's that false thought, like you say, that makes us think that we're in it alone, when it's really been proven that we as a human race can relate to each other. That's just how God made the world. And so just if you don't have someone in your inner circle that you feel can relate, put it out there. Do the opposite of how you feel. So if you feel like shrinking, do the opposite and put it out there. Find help, because there are people who can relate. And the people who would have gone through it and have gotten to the other side and therefore have something to help you with and to support you through.
And there's always somebody out there who has gone through it. As Keshelle just
Yeah.
pointed out, you're not. It's impossible with all of the billions of people on this earth for you to be going through something that is unique only to you. There's
Yeah.
somebody else out there that has the solution that you're looking for. And you know what I think people need to realize sometimes, that sometimes we go through difficulties, and it's always hard when you're going through it, and sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, and you're thinking, why me? Why me?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, two things I want people to realize. Number one, your breaking point can very well be your breakthrough point.
Mhm.
Very, very important for people to understand that the very thing that you're looking at is the thing that's going to break me could be the setup that is going to take you to the next level. And in that sermon, T.D. Jakes talked about, he used Jacob as an example. He had suffered so much loss. He thought his son Joseph had died. He lost his son, his beloved son. And then Joseph's mother dies. And that she was the love of his life. And then Simeon gets held in Egypt. And he's like, oh my God, you're grieving me and my children. And then they say, we want to carry Benjamin back. Otherwise, the man is not going to help us. And he's like, I can't take anymore.
Can't take it.
I cannot take anymore. Y'all going to take me to my grave in grief. But what he did not realize was the very thing that he thought would be a very breaking point for him was the very thing that was his breakthrough, because as T.D. Jakes so eloquently said, he was getting ready to go into a place of provision where he would be provided for the rest of his life. He would not want for anything. He was getting ready to walk into a tremendous blessing for him and his family, but it didn't look like that. It looked like, this thing is going to take me to my grave.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, go ahead. I am.
No, I said one of the questions that I always encourage people to ask themselves is, will this situation make me stronger or weaker? And there's a favorite quote, not quote, but scripture in the Bible. It's in Proverbs. I can't remember where in Proverbs, and the Message version said, because I spoke about it this week. It says, if you fall to pieces in a crisis, there wasn't much to you in the first place. That is a drop the mic moment, because if we look at it, we've all gone through some type of crisis, and persistence, and those who get through the end, the breakthrough is what happens if you get stronger or weaker, or if you fall apart in the crisis. And those are the things that we want to focus on. And usually the crisis is there to build our character, to strengthen us, to get us ready for what else is next in our life. That's what I truly believe. And so we have to find ways to remind ourselves of that, no matter how difficult it is, because if we fall to pieces during that time, we won't be able to see the promised land.
Yeah, something that you said just now reminded me of something that T.D. Jakes said in the sermon: "New levels bring new devils." So if you're going to be able to handle where you're going, you got to go through some stuff to strengthen you to be able to carry that load. Another thing I want people to remember, and then we're going to talk specifically about COVID on the other side because we're going to take a break. But another thing I want people to remember is that oftentimes when we're going through difficulty, you're not going through that for you.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? You experiencing this thing, but genuinely speaking, there's someone down the line who's going to come into your life later on, as there will be somebody who is in your life now who can tell you, you're going to survive this because I did. And you will become that person for someone else down the line. Yeah. I call it purpose and pain. Sometimes we go through very, very painful experiences and we can't understand, Lord, why am I going through? Why are you allowing this to happen to me? And then sometimes years later, you find yourself helping someone else who's going through the very same thing that you survived. So if you look at it as there's purpose in this pain, I'm not saying it'll be easy, but if you come from that perspective, we hear that word again, then maybe it'll be easier for you to walk through that. What are your thoughts on that, Keshelle?
Oh yeah, I can so relate to this. I remember early on in my business career, I was going through this very difficult phase in my business where, I was just losing interest. I wasn't interested in working. It was a difficult time because money wasn't making. I wasn't interested in making money. It was that whole experience. The first time I'd gone through it, and I kept asking God, what is wrong? Like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong? And it was a period of time. Then eventually I spoke to a friend of mine, and she gave me a new perspective again. And then I happened to get through it, and I got some lessons from it. Okay, done. Fast forward, I would say maybe 4, 5, even 6 years, when I was at the chamber at the time, I got a message from someone who said that she was actually praying to God, asking God, who can she reach out to? Who can she talk to? Because she was going through a very similar situation. And we knew each other, but we were in communication, constant communication. And she reached out to me and she said, Keshelle, I don't know why I'm messaging you or want to talk to you, but you came to my spirit. And when she shared the story of the process that she was going through, I had to laugh. And I said, I'm not laughing because of what you're going through. I am laughing because I went through the exact same thing. And she was blown away. I was blown away. So I was able to give her the assurance that it will pass, and also the insights and the lesson that I learned after coming out of that journey. And that taught me as well that whenever, even in the present time, even last year, or any situation, I typically remind myself, okay, you know what, if I give up now, or if I don't handle this right, I won't have a story to share to someone else who perhaps may be coming to me. And that's how I always remind myself when I feel like giving up or getting, just things are difficult. I'm like, okay, what will I tell someone a month from now? Did I tell them I gave up? Did I tell them pushed through? And that's how I think God has made us in this life.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back on the other side, I want to talk about how do you go from surviving COVID to thriving in COVID? Because thriving in this environment. A lot more are just surviving, if that.
Yeah.
I want to give them some words to help them to cross over to the other side. So stay with us. This is GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. We'll be back after this.
The Catwalk Boutique helps you step out in style, offering a high fashion, elegant line of ladies' clothing from petite to plus sizes, from chic casual to dazzling evening wear. Come and visit us in our newly renovated boutique in the Helron Plaza, Robinson Road. We're also the leading distributors for wholesale and retail on Hetty's Pantyhose, as well as wholesale beauty supplies, also offering services to the Family Islands. Call us today at 394-6116 or come and visit us in the Helron Plaza, Robinson Road, the Catwalk Boutique, where sophistication begins.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466. At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This is GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. And my guest today is Keshelle Davis. And we are talking on this Mindset Monday. We're talking about going from survive to thrive in this COVID-19 environment. Talking about how to master your breaking point. Unfortunately, a lot of people, Keshelle, seem to be at their breaking point. We have unfortunately heard of an increase in suicide and suicide attempts. People just giving up hope, tired, can't get beyond the breaking point. And I wanted to do this show today because I want people to understand that that very breaking point that you find yourself at may be the point of setting you up for your breakthrough moment. And you just need to hold on long enough. I want to go to a couple of our comments on Facebook. This one is from Maxine Johnson Stubbs. Hey, schoolmate, and says, we become a part of God's healing community. So true. And she also says, great topic. Thank you so much, Maxine. And we have all the way from Africa. Hello, Michelle. While we are watching from Africa, Okiru Booker Tim. Hey, Tim. Welcome to the show. So COVID-19 has really been affecting a lot of people in the worst way. Bertha Smith said it's really tough, no joke. People are having a hard time out there. Many people have lost their jobs. They are homeless. People living out of their cars, don't know where the next meal is coming from. It's rough out there. And some of them might be listening to us on the show and saying, I almost am talking foolishness on this radio. How you expect me to have a positive outlook in the midst of all of this? How will you respond to a person who has that kind of mindset right now, Keshelle?
First of all, I always say to people, acknowledge the fact that it's hard. Because what we went through in 2020 and what many people are still going through right now, sometimes, as we were talking about before the break, people tend to hide it or pretend that they're okay, or pride is a big thing. I don't know if it's anywhere in the world, but pride is a big thing here in the Bahamas. And so we tend to just shy away from saying, hey, I'm going through a rough time, I need help. There are people who are afraid to ask for help. So that's the first thing. Acknowledge where you are. The only way you can change it is if you acknowledge it. Be very open. And the interesting part of what 2020 brought was, again, you're not the only one. There are so many people that can relate. So that's the first thing. The second thing, it's almost like it was a continuation from before the break. Identify who you are spending time with. It may seem very simple, but you want to ensure that your environment is positive. Now, yes, last year we were locked down, but could you have changed your mental environment? Meaning, were you listening, or were you on YouTube listening to positive videos or positive messages? I know that was one of the things that helped me all last year, because I don't think anyone was immune to the issues, and whether it be, some had it worse than others, perhaps, and not perhaps it's true, but how were you feeding your mind? Because whenever I went through a dip, I found something to listen to. I found, a pastor, a message that inspired me. I made sure I stayed close to positive people who are looking for solutions and opportunities and not just complaining. There were times, Michelle, where, you're a talk show host, and sometimes, and I love listening to the talk shows, but there are times when I'm like, okay, I've had it. That's my quota. I didn't want to hear the negative, because I needed to protect my mind, because it all starts there. And so once you can begin to say, okay, look at the perspective, how can I really find ways to get out of this instead of sinking down into, perhaps the quicksand of it, and you stay in that positive light, then the question becomes, hey, you know what, how can I create opportunity for myself? Yesterday, I listened to the news, and it talked about one of the ladies. There was a feature of a girl who lost her job, and she, like anyone, was going through that period of depression, fear, uncertainty, and then she came, which is normal, but that switch. And it didn't go into, what made the switch for her, but I would imagine that she made a decision that she is not going to just survive. She was going to find a way to thrive, and she created the business. I won't call her name. I don't know if I could, but she created a business which is now thriving in this environment. And I say to people all the time, because I'm entrepreneurial, and so I always say, we all have. COVID brought so many problems, and with problems, there are opportunities, we need solutions. And so if you're in that right frame of mind, Michelle, or those of you who are listening, the focus, then should be on, hey, either something positive or something that can drive me towards finding solutions. And it's not easy, but if you stay in that frame of mind, the opportunities will come. As small as just being able to find something to generate revenue on a consistent basis. There were so many people making and selling masks. As simple as that was, the people who made a killing. We all had gifts and talents that would show up if you allow yourself and if you give yourself that permission to be in the space, the mental space to be able to do it.
I so agree with you, Keshelle. You often talk about it on the show. What do you already have in your hand? There is something in your possession, some gift, some skill, something that you already have in your hand that can turn your circumstances around. It just takes some creativity. If we go back to the Bible, remember the story of the widow and her son were about to die, and the prophet said to them, gather up the containers that you have and go and sell oil. You start pouring oil into these containers, borrow all the containers you can from your neighbors, get as many containers as you can. And the oil did not stop until she ran out of containers.
Yes.
So it's what is the significance of that story? The significance is you can only be blessed to the degree of your capacity to receive that blessing.
Yep.
Whether that is mental, because you may be limiting yourself mentally, and that could be a block from you being able to have the creativity to come up with the idea that's going to get you out of survival and into thrive threshold. What are your thoughts on that, Keshelle?
I'm shaking my head because, it's an amen. I had a student. So one of the things that I did last year, so my primary business is corporate. So of course, when things shut down in March, it was like left, right, what's going on? And I had to make that pivot. And again, I talk about environment and people. I was in a group that time, an international business group where, the person said, look, you will not shrink. You will not, get scared. You will rise up. And so that whole motivational moment, and that was enough for me to pull out the drive in me. But one of the things, and then I created a course, getting people online, which was something that I did not have last year. But one of the things that showed that program and working with students last year, there was a girl that came immediately to mind. There were so many stories, but she was in Freeport. She lives in Freeport, and she cooks. And of course, things shut down. She wasn't able to cook. She wasn't able to bake. Guess what she did, Michelle? She now took her knowledge of baking bread and held bread baking classes online. And that was such a good experience because people were home, people were eating. I mean, the bread isn't that good to eat, and it was such a fun activity for people to do. People who just wanted to learn a skill, they learned how to bake bread online. And so again, it goes back to what is in your hand. And then being in the environment to say, hey, you can really take that and you can do something with that even in this environment. And so it takes knowing what's in your hand. We all have gifts. The Bible gives all of us, not the Bible, but God has given all of us gifts. It's knowing how to use it, recognizing when to use it, and then if you can't see it, find someone, talk to someone to say, hey, listen, can you help me out? Can you help me see this differently?
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Now, here's my thing. I believe that I know there's some people who may be listening from their car because that's where they're living right now. Mm-hmm. Some people are, at rock bottom. But again, perspective to me, and this is going to sound really weird, and I'll explain it. But to me, it is a blessing when you hit rock bottom because it's only one direction to go from there.
Up.
Either you stay there at rock bottom based on your perspective, based on how you respond, or you can't go down no further. Yeah. It's only one other direction to go, and that's up. Mm-hmm. And what determines whether or not you stay at rock bottom or you start to elevate is perspective, is moving into the place of seeing your breaking point as your breakthrough point. But how do you quiet yourself enough to get out of panic mode if you live in your car to becoming creative and figuring out what you can do? Because clearly, if you live it in your car, you ain't got no job, you don't know where the next meal is going to come from. This may sound like a pipe dream. You're talking about, oh, go online. Go online. I live in my car. What do you say to
Yeah.
that, Keisha?
You know what helped me? You know what helped me last? And when I say, I share from my experience, because I said this to a client last year. I'm like, look, even the strongest of the strongest last year dealt with the mental roller coaster of what last year brought, right? I figure I'm quite strong, but I had my moments. People around me I know were strong, and they had their moments. And so I said to a client, I said, imagine the strongest people, mentally strong people who are going through difficulties. Imagine those who are not as strong, who hasn't gone through a lot or haven't kind of develop themselves to go through difficulties. And so I say that to say, but what helped me last year just to stay in that creative mode, to stay in that positive space, Michelle, it was a pair of tennis and some workout clothes. I know we were locked down, but I promise you, I walked around my I live in a cul-de-sac, my neighborhood. I know, because of last year, Michelle, I tell you, like, I know all of my neighbors. I've become friends with all my neighbors. I know everybody. Car. That's just how much I know. When you turn to my corner, I know who that is, because that's just how much I went out and I just walked. I worked out. And exercise does something for your ability to think, to be just in that space. So there are times when I went out, I wasn't feeling good. Like, I was down or just heavy with what was going on. By the time as I did a 20-minute walk or 45-minute walk or 10-minute yoga, that feeling went away. And it may be something that people take for granted. I know I did in the past, but I know even if you take away the health benefits, the physical health benefits, to manage your mind. And on those walks, I talk to God. I'm like, look, this is how I'm feeling. I just process my feelings. And by the end of it, a thought came up or an idea came up or a shift in perspective. And by the time as I was done, I was able to continue on. And these are times when you have to constantly work through those emotions. It's not one where, okay, you had this bad day or this bad week and then it goes. It can come today and it can go tomorrow. It can come back on the other day. You have to find something that helps you to manage that mind and that process. And for me, it was simple as picking up and just moving my body. And so if you're living in your car, you're going through difficult times, there's some place you can go and just walk. Or, I mean, I know there was a period where the beach was closed. I was one of them. As soon as it opened, Michelle, I was out there because that did something for my soul. And so find things or find something that keeps you in that space to be able to think and be creative and come up with ideas, because God is with us during the pandemic. He was with us then, he's with us now, and I truly believe he protected his people if we allow ourselves to be in the space to receive it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to look at a couple of comments that are being put on our Facebook page. And please, if you haven't already done so, like and share the show. Let everybody know, especially if somebody's having a hard time. Guys, get them on the show because they really need to hear these words of encouragement to know that it ain't over. It's just a bump in the road. Okay.
Yeah.
Alana Lindsay says, save a little for hard times. Stop making Dave Thomas richer. Go home and cook. Stop wasting money on fast food. Leave the hair natural. Well, fingernails. Well, the point she's trying to make is we have to, we've been very free in the past with our spending, but now we have to really reconsider some of our spending habits. And Keshelle, I know that you advise many businesses and individuals about the importance of, I guess, managing yourself. So, how important is it that we manage ourselves, particularly in our finances during this time?
I think what we always look at COVID and the pandemic as a negative, and there, of course, was some negatives, but it goes back to what I said earlier. There's always two sides of the coin, and so the positive side, or the lesson from COVID is and this is now being future focused, because in some cases we may not be able to do anything in the short term, but the lesson that COVID would have brought us says that, hey, one, it will pass, but as things begin to pick back up, or as you get something in your hand, no matter how small it is, are you putting something aside for when this comes around again? Because life is a circle, and so it's just thinking through. And as I think it was Alana, ask yourself, what can I give up? Right? And it may be hard for certain people, but what can I give up? And do I really need to live with this? Do I really need to have this? I remember I thought I couldn't live without Starbucks, Michelle, until after the pandemic. Until during the pandemic. Right? I'm like, what, shoot, I don't need this. And so we tend to assume that we need these things in our lives that's costing us money, that if we really were to stop and act, and I think that's what the pandemic did, forced us to look at, hey, you know what? A lot of things that we have and we're spending money on, we don't need. And can I use that money to put into a savings, or to prepare myself for my future?
Good stuff. So true. So true. So I want to take a quick break. And then when we come back, I want to look at step by step, what does someone do to try to move from survive to thrive? What are some concrete things that they can do? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's how you get yourself out of survival mode and into thriving mode. Because it is possible, people. I don't want you to think that because of where you are, that you're stuck there forever. It's just temporary. I promise you, it is not permanent. And if nothing else, I want you to walk away from this show with today, it is understanding that you should not make a permanent decision to solve a temporary problem. If nothing else, remember that. So stay with us. We're going to have more with Keshelle Davis on GPS Global Paradigm Shift on the other side of the break.
Photography at its best. Professional and quality service. Warren Grant Photography, specializing in weddings, portraits, sunset images, events, and photo booth, creating compelling images of life-changing events. Make that step today and call 242-424-5678 or email Warren_Grant251@yahoo.com or check out our website at www.warrengrantphotography.com. Facebook and Instagram, Warren Grant Photography. We change moments into memories.
Looking for an extraordinary junior high school with caring, qualified staff and affordable tuition? Then come visit us at Elite School of Excellence, an affiliate of First Step Academy. ABECA-focused and Ministry of Education approved, we foster discipline, integrity, and wisdom while molding our students for success. Call us at 341-8846 or stop by First Step Academy Schools on Fire Trail and Soldy Roads for more information. Escape from the city life to Bacon Air Beach Resort in Piratesville, Mayaguana. Relax in one of 16 air-conditioned rooms just steps away from the ocean. Enjoy scrumptious dishes in our waterfront dining room. Sip on a tropical cocktail, or if you must, stay connected with wireless internet. Nestled on one of the most beautiful beaches in the Bahamas, Bacon Air Beach Resort offers a unique vacation experience. For reservations, call 339-3726 or 463-0182.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. My guest today is Keshelle Kerr. We're talking about how to move from survive to thrive, particularly now in this COVID-19 environment. Mastering your breaking point. That's what we're talking about today. And this is a Mindset Monday, and I want my Monday shows to be dedicated to helping you to navigate through this difficulty by looking and changing perhaps your mindset, because it's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. Okay, we're going to show a couple of your comments. This one is from Bertha Smith. She says, you need to be extremely motivated and prayed up in times like this. You ain't never lie, Bertha. This is so true. Alana Lindsay says, prayers without works is dead. We must look for opportunities through problems. Yes, with every problem, there is an opportunity written within that problem. We just have to look beyond the problem itself and open our creative juices to find the opportunity. Bertha Smith again, as a self-employed seamstress, thank God for the making of masks. That was how I survived. Didn't receive a dime from NIB, nor any food assistance. God is good all the time. Yes, he is. And Sylvie Therese Carey says, between September 6, 2019 to date, my mom died, my husband passed, my brother-in-law also died, I retired, got me a puppy, had shingles, had COVID, and became more creative than ever. Good for you, Sylvie. Good for you. This is good. No matter what you go through, people, no matter how difficult the circumstances are, just remember that you're going to get through it. And it's very likely that circumstance is a part of taking you to your next level. So it really just depends on how you look at things. It really depends on your perspective. Bertha Smith again. Wow, look at God. Condolences to you. Linda Johnson says, while there is life, there is hope. The Bible says, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be opened. And we'll take one more. This one is from Sherry Morris Anderson. We should always just learn to gracefully power through. Okay, so our phone line is 828-3543. 828-3543 is the phone line, and the call line is the text line is 828-2543. 828-2543 is the number to text. And of course, you can also message us here send us a comment, or place a comment here on my Facebook page, and we just may put it up there. So I want to play one more clip. Now, this clip is very interesting, and we're going to talk about it on the other side of the clip, Keshelle. This one is about courage. And not what people are thinking. I know what you're thinking this is going to be, but this is about having courage to succeed. Now, you may say, Michelle, what are you talking about? It's not a frightening thing to succeed, but you would be surprised
People
How
are
many
afraid of
people out there
success.
are sabotaging their chances of success
Yep.
because they're afraid to succeed? So let's talk. Let's hear from this clip first, and then Keshelle and I are going to discuss that on the other side. So clip number 2, please.
You got to have the courage. Do you have the courage to act outwardly on what you see inwardly? Or will you die a dreamer? Will you die on the verge and on the edge and in the land of coulda, woulda, and shoulda? Do you have the courage? I'm going to drop something on you. It takes courage to be successful. It is far easier not to be successful. Misery will always have company. Success breeds contempt. If you don't want to make waves, be mediocre. Be normal and fit in. And if you're more concerned about people than you are God, then neutralize everything He put in you. Just fit in with everybody else. Dress like them, walk like them, act like them, eat like them, go where they go, think like they think, do what they do. And once you neutralize your uniqueness, you don't need courage. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to go where you've never gone before. For some of you, it took courage to come to this conference. It takes courage to get you outside of the bar. It takes courage to be successful. It takes courage to win. People don't talk about people that don't win. If you win, they're going to talk about you. Do you have the courage to stand there though the storms keep raging and the people get to talking and you stand there and say, I've come too far to turn around? Do you have the courage? I'm going to say something to you. It takes courage to be exceptional. It takes courage to be wise. It takes courage to be rich. It takes courage to be educated. It takes courage to be knowledgeable. Because the moment you do, you don't talk like, oh, you don't forgot where you came from. Look at you talking. It takes courage. And I'm just wondering, in this weak, watered down, mediocre society that we live in today, in this reality TV world we live in today, I'm wondering if there's anybody left that's got the courage to say, after all I've been through, and all my ancestors have been through, and all my parents have been through, I didn't come through all of that just to fit in with normalcy. I have the courage to go after my dream. Is there a woman left in this entire Coliseum that's got some courage?
That's a word. Listen,
Marla.
courage.
Woo. Yeah.
You know, COVID is a really good excuse.
Oh, yes.
This is a really good
Yeah.
excuse. Nobody gonna blame you if you are on hard time because this is a good excuse.
It's an excellent excuse. The best one, I think.
I know, right? Courage to
Oh.
succeed. Talk to us, Keshelle. What is that about?
First of all, I need that clip. I need to send that to a group of
I will
women.
send it to you.
I had a retreat last weekend, and it was a 3-day business retreat with some women. And the third day, which was focused around income goals, success goals, sales goals, the first thing that came out of my mouth was courage creates cash. And I said that, and I continue to explain it, but people always like to say they look for confidence. They want to be more confident. And that's typically what people I've worked with, whether it's business or just, being successful in general, they want to be confident, but you don't need to be confident to get your dreams, get the work done, make your dreams real. You need courage. And a lot of people, they do not have the courage to push through. The people that I work with, if I had to sum up, Michelle, one reason why they haven't made their dreams real, and I have a program in week 7 now of this program called Make It Real, is that same thing, the courage to push through, to the courage to see things or see failure as just another stepping stone. One of people that know me know that I'm famous for saying, "But you ain't gonna die." Okay. My daughter also grew up with me saying that, look, you're not going to die. And I always said that, and it kind of may seem off to some people, but that is my way of saying, regardless of what fears, regardless of what challenges, regardless of, what you think will happen, you keep moving forward, because guess what? 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna die.
Not only that, not only that, I think it's like they say 95% of what we are about never happens.
Never happens.
Yeah.
Never happens. And so that's my way of pretty much saying that same thing. Like, look, what you thinking in your head, or what seems so terrible, I promise it won't happen. And it's I don't know. And I really think we need to have like a national courage day, or I don't know, because Michelle, that is it. That is it. People are afraid of people's opinions. People are afraid to go broke. People are afraid to fail. People are afraid of losing their job or leaving their job when they know that they're not fulfilled, going back to hating Mondays. Why do they stay? Why do they settle? They settle because they don't have the courage. They don't need the confidence, because people say, I want confidence, but they don't have the courage. Courage and confidence are two different personality traits. Courage says, I am afraid. I feel afraid. I may be terrified, but I'm still going to do it anyway. Confidence says, I'm not scared. I can do it. Most people need courage. And if they have just, they talk about faith of the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. I really want to say courage plays that same tone. If you have just enough courage to push through in spite of your fear, in spite of how it looks, in spite of whatever the case may be, people will probably see a major shift just from moving forward in courage. And so let me tell you that that touched me, because that's the topic now that I really began doing a lot more talking to people about and studying, because hey, Asanet. But yeah, courage is, people don't talk enough about it, Michelle.
Yeah, I agree. But it's people think that when you talk about courage, it's only, people being afraid of failure, but people are afraid of success. People are afraid of success. And what COVID has done is given us all an excuse to not pursue our dreams. And I'll speak from my own personal experience. I've heard about vision boards for a very long time, but always found a reason why I couldn't get around to doing my vision board. And last year, I had an opportunity to participate in a leadership retreat as part of the health coaching business. And a great part of what we did was mindset and vision boards, et cetera. And one of the things that I learned was that I had a fear of success, because my thinking was always, even from way back when, Pastor Miles always used to say, write the vision down, Michelle. What do you want to do? Write it down. Give God something to work with. And I would always find an excuse as to why I couldn't get that done. And I realized a part of it was a fear of success, because what if I put this on this vision board and it doesn't happen? What if I write down this plan and it doesn't happen? And you may say, well, that's a fear of failure, but no, that's a part of a fear of success. Because you're afraid to even dream. What if it doesn't happen? And then what if it happens? How is that going to impact my life if it happens?
Yeah. Michelle, I had an incident maybe 3 years ago now that shook me, and I became friends with a lady in UK because of it. I was at a conference. This was before we could travel. And we were just talking, it was a business conference, and we were talking about just that same topic, fair. I don't even know what we were talking about, but I pretty much said to her, in essence, I know that although I've gotten to a level of success, I know that I'm only giving, and when you could give more and you could do more. And I was just talking about that with her, I'm like, what, I think I still give like 20, 30, 50%. I don't give my 100% in certain projects. And she said something that shocked me. And she said, perhaps you're afraid of success. And I'm like, not me. I'm like, you ain't see my resume. I'm successful. I've done successful things. And she's like, no. And she started to really break down. I didn't know her. She started to just break down just some things. And I could not sleep that night, Michelle. And that next morning, I messaged her. I'm like, let's go to lunch. We have to continue to talk about this. And so a lot of people don't even realize, because that was that first time when I had to look at myself and say, am I afraid of success? Even the successes that I believe that I've had in my life. And so, yeah, I think that's another one of those topics, Michelle, that we don't talk about. We talk about failure, but it could very well be, because I'm not afraid to fail. Like, I can fail, and you're gonna have to laugh at me, but I'm gonna fail. But how are you keeping yourself back when you know that you have more to give and more to do, and you can do it at an even higher level? That could not necessarily be a sign of fear of failure, but that could be a fear of success. And a lot of persons perhaps are in that boat.
Yeah, and here's a way that you can identify that, because you may say, oh, I wonder if this applies to me. Do you procrastinate a lot? You know you have stuff to do, but you always find a reason not to get it done. There's always an excuse of, well, I can't get to it today because I have this going on, or this person needs me to do that. Or you're always finding a reason not to get it done. And that could be a subconscious thing going on, where you just are trying to find a way to avoid facing that fear. So that's one sign that you may have not just a fear of failure, but a fear of success. And I think people need to do the work. It takes work.
Mm-hmm.
It takes work.
You only put half the work in.
Yeah. You really have to navigate through, they call it emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
We put a lot of emphasis on book smart, get your degree and, all this kind of stuff. But we don't, I think, put enough emphasis on emotional intelligence, helping people to understand what is really causing them to do the things that they're doing, that may be holding them back from achieving more. So I think this is something that we all need to really pay some attention to. Okay, so let's take a couple of comments here. Let's see. Jacqueline Maynard says, courage to be successful. That's right, Jacqueline. Yeah. People need to have courage to be successful. Go do that vision board. Don't be afraid of what could come your way. Sylvie Therese Carey, there will always be the naysayers in the shadows, but push on and have the courage to push through. Take a leap of faith. Yes, agreed. Jonathan, Paradise Abaco Edgecombe says, love it. Thank you, Jonathan. I want you guys again to like and share the show, especially if you know somebody who's going through a difficult period, man. They need to be encouraged that they can get out of that. Somebody is quoting you, what you said earlier, courage creates cash. That's Wenda Albury. Another person is agreeing with you. Yes, Keshelle, yes. And another one from Sylvanie again. She says, I've delved in art, working with different materials, which I never thought I was any good at or even could do, but I'm constantly trying new methods and continue to stretch myself and figure it out. And if I mess up, I can start over. There you go. You have the right attitude, for sure. You have the right attitude.
Yeah.
Perspective is everything, people. One more from Sylvie. It says, do not define your life by your current circumstances. Girl, that's deep.
Absolutely.
Let's go there. How, some people find themselves in this difficult situation and they think they define their life with that.
Yeah,
and people go through life even before COVID and will go through life after COVID, defining their life by their current circumstances. Girl, Sylvie, thanks for bringing that up. How do you address that, Keshelle?
It's if that is all someone knows, it's easy for that to happen, right? It goes back to exposure, right? They may have only been exposed to that environment, that thinking, so they don't necessarily see anything else. And so again, goes back to perspective. That's why I use that word so many times. And so if you're in that environment, or you're looking around and you are saying, this is how my life is, the question that I have for you is, are you satisfied with that life? Are you happy with that life? If the answer is no, then it's your responsibility, and really and truly it's only your responsibility to do something about it. And it could very well be, going back to, we talk about steps, it could very well be, I did a challenge in December and January called Future Focus. It could very well be sitting down, taking some time and get future focused. Ask yourself, what would I love my life to be like? Yes, I might think that this is my life right now, but if I had the opportunity, if I could have waved, could wave a magic wand, find a way to trick your brain, because sometimes that has to happen as well. But what would I love my life to look like? And just begin to write. That's why I love dream boards and vision boards, because it takes you out of your current space and puts you into a place of possibility, even though it may still be very difficult for you to think how that will happen. I always tell people, don't even focus on the how, just focus on what you want, right? Just allow yourself, even if it's an hour, to say, what would I truly want to be, do, have, or experience? Then begin to write. And if that activity is difficult for you, find someone who you know are natural dreamers, because there are people who are natural dreamers. Like, these people always dream and they're always talking about what's going on. Going back to the environment, find people who you can connect to. But if you could define your life, and it's fine if you're happy. But most of the people who define their lives by their circumstances, deep down inside, they're not happy, they're not fulfilled. And once you have that awareness to say, I really don't want to live like this, then do the work. Again, just give yourself time to dream. Michelle, I'm going to say, shut up again, because I love this comment too, but there's a book that I encourage everyone to read. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, right?
And you have to have an open mind. When they also have an audio version of that.
Yeah. Yes, you have to.
You gotta have an open mind, people. You will take offense by some of the things that man says, but it's all true.
Oh yes, it's true. The first time I read that book, Michelle, I couldn't sleep that couple of days. Like, Jesus, what is this? But as you begin to really look at it and be open-minded about what that book is talking about, it is so true. And there he talks about drifters and what the devil uses to cause people to drift. And there are so many drifters who they accept that this is their life circumstance and they're okay and they're just drifting along. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people is. But if you are at a place where you have a certain set of circumstances, but you have the awareness that, hey, you know what? I really don't want to be here. That's where you can really begin to create the life that you want.
Paul Croto is the founder of the Institute of Holistic Health, co-founder of the Institute of Holistic Health, through which I received my certification last year. And every Monday we have a Mindset Monday call for his core group. And one of the things that he says that I think is so critical for people to understand, you have to see a vision of a better you. That's the first step. You have to be able to see that. And like he said, oftentimes people look at their circumstances and they think just based on what they are surrounded with right now. But he has a really great trick that he does. And I'm going to throw it out there today. He uses the iPhone as an example. What version are they on now? 12?
12.
12. Okay. So I can't keep up. So
can't keep up.
iPhone 12 is out there. And when they rolled out iPhone 12, they had a big, fancy rollout and talking about all these new features and everything that the iPhone 12 can do. But the minute they rolled out iPhone 12, they didn't just stop and folded their arms and say, good job, guys. They already working on iPhone 13.
Maybe even 14.
iPhone 14 and iPhone 15. And so the thing is that we need to see ourselves like that, where right now you are in version whatever year you are in. But there's going to be a version, in my case, there's going to be a version 58, and then a version 59, and then a version 60. So even if you are going through a hard time in version 57, don't just get stuck in version 57. Start thinking ahead. What do I want version 60 to look like?
Yep.
And then you start putting a plan in place the same way the people right now, they are working on iPhone 13 and 14 and 15. They ain't just sitting back waiting. They're working on that now.
Yep.
So you determine what you want that future version of you to look like. And then you roll back and you start planning to get there. How important is that, having that future vision of yourself to getting you out of survival mode and into thrive?
Michelle, that's all I talk about. I mean, that's really where it begins. Like I said, last December 1, we did a future focus challenge. I think there was like 400 or so people in the group. And every day we took people through one step to get future focus, one step to get future focus. And we did it again. We just actually wrapped it up last week, because you cannot go anywhere. You cannot improve your life. And I'm going to pull up a quote that I love, without that first step of clarity around what you want your life to be like. If you go by the Make It Real method or Dr. Miles's book on vision and achievement, is the first step is getting clear on what you want. How do you get clear on what you want? You have to be future focused. You have to think about version 12, 13, 14. John Maxwell has a quote. I'm going to pull it up and I love it. And he says, if you don't create the future you want, you must endure the future you get. And if you really allow that to sink in,
that's deep.
It should shake you. If you don't create the future you want, you must endure the future you get. How many of us are enduring the future that we have now because we haven't taken the time to create the future we want, whether it's through a dream board, whether it's just through writing, whether it's through talking with people? One of the best things that I did last year was attended, and I've been recommending it to so many people. There was a free workshop online by that was hosted by Eben Pagan, and he had a program called Reinvent, right? And it was pretty much the same thing that you were talking about, Michelle. He looked at, going back over our histories and looked at all about the old versions of us. So from teenager all the way up. And he said, depending on your age, you have, 2, 3, 4 selves, and the selves could last anywhere from 10 to 12 years. And he forced us, not forced us, it was a part of the program where we looked at all of the incidences, all of the experiences, all of the people, all of the challenges, and there were several categories that we would have gone through in the old selves. And then the premise of it was now that you've appreciated who you were back then, like, version 1, version 2, version 3, how can you use that new insight? Or what are the themes that you've picked up that you can now reinvent your life going forward? What do you want to continue on in your life? What do you want to leave? And then he come up with your own reinvention strategy so you can make it more intentional going forward. And it's really one of the best things that I did last year. And it goes back to being intentional, right? We do it with technology. We can't wait for the next version to come out. We can't wait for we look at movies and entertainment. We can't wait for the next part, the next, whatever it is. But are we as intentional with our lives and with our future in the same way that these technology companies or these movie entertainment companies, the same thing with movies, they're not looking at part 1, part 2, part 3, all that's laid out, and we sitting right there and taking it all in, but we don't want to invest an hour 2 hours, 3 hours to get future focused to plan the next versions of ourselves.
Satisfied with drifting. Boy, we got to take a break. Last one for the show. And then when we come back, we're going to wrap this up. And I'm going to throw something out there, y'all, that I'm hoping is going to make you really stop and take stock of where you are right now. Stay with us. This is GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM.
Located on Carmichael Road, Divine Designs Hair Boutique is a haven for women and men looking for professional beauty services. Our state-of-the-art and contemporary equipment creates a relaxing ambiance for you to enjoy while we cater to you. Need a hairstylist? We cater to all types and textures of hair for care and styling. We even have a barber on duty. Need a nail tech? Our technicians provide a range of nail services, including the latest trends. Unwind in one of our massage chairs while you get your pedicure. With our reasonable rates, friendly staff, and over 20 years of experience, you will be in great hands. Call us at 823-1669 or 698-1025 to schedule your appointment. Wanna be pampered? Wanna be slayed? Let Divine Designs make your day.
At the Gladstone Road Farmers Market, we provide you with the freshest produce, eggs, meat, and more. But what you don't see makes a difference too, like the care our farmers put into growing and raising that food for your family, the fewer miles that food travels from the farm to your plate, and the dollars you are keeping in our local community. Our open-air market is every Friday and Saturday. Come visit us, and be sure to look for the GPS-endorsed flyer. COVID-19 has affected all of us, but it won't stop us from serving you with a smile, even under the mask. Gladstone Road Farmers Market, home of fresh. Want to look your best and feel even better? Visit J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa for the ultimate beauty, body, and anti-aging treatments, offering custom colors, haircuts, vegan anti-freeze treatments, silk blowouts, natural and acrylic nails, unisex pedicures, facials, and massages, all waxing services, and microcurrent therapies for anti-aging and body sculpting. J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madeira Street, telephone 326-7863.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. This is GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. My guest today is Keshelle Davis. We're talking from survive to thrive, how to master your breaking point so that it becomes the vehicle to your breakthrough. Now, here's something I want people to consider, Keshelle. The problem is not that most people aim too high and miss.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that the majority of people in the world today aim too low and hit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that.
That's one of my favorite quotes. I love this. I mean, shoot, we could talk about mindset all day because I just love the topic of, because everything starts with the mind, right? And I think it goes back, Michelle, which first of all, the quote is absolutely true. And I believe it goes back to fear of failure or fear of success. Fear is a factor. Unfortunately, either we or comfort zone, which is a big thing, and that's another area that I've been tackling recently. We get comfortable in just where we are. Bills are being paid, or we just living our lives, and we are not maximizing, to me, the purpose that we have been placed on this earth for. Pastor Miles would always say, "You are not a success, regardless of whatever success you think you have, unless you're living in your purpose." And so I think it ties back to people not wanting, going back to doing the work. People are being afraid of failure or success. People are comfortable with their lives. What goes back to the point that I started with, where Pastor Miles talked about the most frustrated people in the world is a person with a dream that doesn't become reality. And Michelle, there are a lot of frustrated people because they may be comfortable or they may have achieved some low targeted goals. But if you really ask them if this is what they truly want to be doing, most of the times, and I work with what I do this work all day. I teach, I talk to people, I lead workshops, and I can tell you with confidence, most of the people who are living day to day are not fulfilled in what they are doing. And that's, in fact, I it's to the point where I'm almost surprised when I get a yes sometimes, because it's not often.
Yeah. Well, you know what Pastor Miles's favorite saying used to be, not favorite, but one of his popular saying used to be, the graveyard is the richest place on earth, because therein lies all of the hopes and dreams, people that were never realized, songs that were never written, medical breakthroughs that were never discovered because they went to the grave with the person that was supposed to discover them. So our job, really, if you made it here to planet Earth, your job is to live out your purpose, to discover what that is and serve that to the world. And when you give enough people what they need, then your needs are met. Your success comes by serving others. The most successful businesses are those which found a need and filled it. And so when you're talking now about finding yourself at rock bottom in COVID-19, what do you do to, first of all, calm yourself and then identify a need that you have the ability to fill because it's already in your hand? Lead us step by step what a person should do.
Yeah, and so the first thing is getting clear on what you want. Getting clear about what you want, getting clear about the vision that you see, the future that you have for yourself, despite what the circumstances look like. You may not want to be there, and so get clear on where you actually want to be. Those persons who are going through difficult times, and even if you're not going through difficult times, as we talked about earlier, what is your next level? What is that level of clarity now for the next version of who you are? Get clear about your direction, and be directed by that clarity. Otherwise, you get caught up into day to day to day, and then that's where drifting comes in. The second step is potential, right? And this is right out of the book, and I've studied this for at least 10 years now, so I can just fill it off. And I talk about it because it's proven. Potential. Now that you've gotten clear about either getting from surviving to thriving, or if you're even thriving, what is that next version of success looks like for you? You have to recognize that you have to become a different version of yourself, and that's the versions that we talked about there. Because in order for you to achieve the future that you want to have, regardless of what's happening in today's society, you have to believe that you can achieve it. It seems corny and cliche, but it's true. if you don't believe that you can get out of this situation, if you don't believe that you can build a successful business after you've lost your job, I can go on and on. You will not achieve it. And then potential also speaks to what are the skills you need to get to the next level, right? What books do you need to read? What classes can you take? What I loved about last year, and I wanted to do a whole feature on it, but I didn't get a chance to do it, was I wanted to feature people who were growth oriented, who took last year and used it as an opportunity to take a class or to get certified or to read books. Like I read probably 10 million books. And I'm a book lover in general, but I think I read twice as much books last year because that was all to do in most cases. So, but what skills do you need to develop? Who do you need to become in order to achieve the version of success that you want? And then the third step, and if you could, and there's lots more steps, but if you can get through these first 3 steps, you will be well on your way. So the first is getting clarity. The second step is potential, just recognizing that you have the potential, believing that you have the potential, and then becoming that next version of yourself. And the third is plan. Sit down and write out a plan. Where do you want to be in 12 months, December 2021, December 31st, 2021? Where do you want to be in 2 years? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Even if you may have difficulty seeing how it will happen, write it out. Write it out. And if you still have challenges, again, going back to people, find people in your circle or reach out to people who are constantly doing positive things and say, hey, can you help me with a plan of action? Because that begins to help you to take action and move forward, have momentum towards the goals and dreams that you see for your life.
It's amazing.
The clarity potential plan.
It's amazing that you would say that, because one of the exercises that we had to do in the mastermind group with Paul Crotto, we had to write a letter to ourselves as if it were January 2022.
Yes.
A letter of gratitude. And in that letter, we had to say, I am thankful that in 2021, I achieved this. I did that. I accomplished that. I everything that you want to accomplish in the year 2021, you're writing in this letter, looking back on the year 2021 and saying, I am grateful that this took place in my life. And one of the things that he said to us is that don't be afraid to write down something big, because at the end of the year, when you read that letter back to yourself and you realize everything you put down came to pass, you're going to kick yourself for not dreaming bigger.
Yeah. That's such a practical activity, Michelle, that everyone needs to do. I did that for the first time in 2008, and I remember that because I was in a course in California, and they asked us, and the person who led it, she took the letters, we had to seal it, and she mailed it back to us, and so we didn't know when it was coming.
Wow.
And it was that surreal. I never forgot it, and since then I've been doing that in my workshops. But it was that surreal moment, Michelle, when you totally forgot about the letter because you thought it was just a random activity in a workshop, and you get to the post office. Of course, it takes forever to come, but just reading back that letter, it does something to you. It either convicts you, or it carries you, and builds that momentum in you. But I encourage everyone to do that. And another activity that is useful is to write a gratitude letter to your old self. So the person who you were, a year ago, 2 years ago, and just thanking them for who they were back then that got them to this to achieve these goals. And so they're very surreal activities. But Michelle, I'll tell you, it takes someone who is driven and self-motivated and truly want to succeed and thrive in life to be able to dedicate the time and be intentional to do it, because it sounds good. I mean, I do them all the time because so that's normal for me, but I want to succeed. Like, that's success in life is like a non-negotiable for me. But if you want to get to the next level, if you want to succeed, you have to do that type of work. It's the inner game, it's the mindset. The outer game, the results will not happen until you focus on what's in your mind, your heart, your soul.
Mindset Monday. Real quick, Keshelle, where can people find you?
I am all over social media. Keshelle Davis, Keshelle Davis. And so you can just type me in any of the platforms and they can find me. And then if you want, and Michelle, this is something that I'm working on. I'm actually doing another free version of the Make It Real process. So there are modules, and for each one of those lessons that I talked about, how do you get clear? How do you develop your potential? How do you develop a plan? And I'm in the process now of doing a free version of that, more like a mini get started kit. And so if they want that, I haven't finalized it yet. So, but if persons are watching and listening and want a copy of it to just kind of go into the how-tos, because it's easy to say, do it. They can message me and I can just make sure speed up that process and they'll have something that they can work on.
Keshelle, it was a pleasure having you on GPS today. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy woman now, so thank you for giving me 2 hours of your time to be on the show today. And I'm hoping that people will have taken away from it all of the nuggets that you would have left us with today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I want to read 1 or 2 comments and then we're going to get out of here. Sylvie says, great show. Thank you, Sylvie. And my friend Tasha, this is such a pleasant surprise to get this message from. This is one of my pageant sisters, y'all, a former Miss Bahamas. Love the show, Michelle. So proud of you. Love you, girl. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wow. Okay, we're out of time. That's going to do it for today's show. Tomorrow, we are looking at the homelessness situation in the Bahamas. A lot of people are homeless, and I'm hoping that some of them would have heard this show today. But that's what we're focusing on tomorrow. Okay, so that'll do it. Thank you so much to all of you who tuned in, all of our sponsors for making the show possible. And we're out of here. I'll see you tomorrow.